Likely Arsenal lineup versus Chelsea: Martinelli, Hincapie, Odegaard and Maduk among the key options on Arteta's table. Gabriel Martinelli and Piero Hincapie are expected to start for Arsenal in their clash with Chelsea, according to Football London's projected lineup for Mikel Arteta. The Gunners travel to Stamford Bridge looking to open up a 9-point gap over their London rivals, who, it must be said, arrive in frightening form. Arsenal have bounced back strongly since their frustrating draw earlier in the week, responding with commanding wins over Tottenham Hotspur and Bayern Munich. Yet many around the club believe the Chelsea match may be the toughest test of this grueling stretch. Enzo Maresca's side just put 3 goals past Barcelona on Tuesday night, and with an extra day of rest plus the power of home support, the Blues hold a few subtle advantages. Arteta managed to rotate his squad throughout the week, but that doesn't spare him from a handful of complicated decisions, especially with key players returning, Leandro Trossard suffering a fresh injury, and others pushing hard for spots after impressive cameos. Here is how Football.London expects Arsenal to line up, along with the reasoning behind each selection. David Raya. The Spaniard was beaten at close range by Lennart Karl in midweek and kept his post-match comments to a minimum. Securing a clean sheet at Stamford Bridge, a place where Arsenal haven't managed one in their last 3 visits, would be a significant personal statement. Jurrien Timber. Some are already calling him the best right-back in Europe, and it's hard to argue after his standout performance and well-taken goal against Bayern Munich. William Saliba. The Frenchman handled Gabriel Magalhaes' absence with maturity and calm, but he may find himself adjusting to yet another defensive partner on Saturday. Piero Hincapie. Back in the starting lineup after Christian Mosquera's strong outing against Bayern. The Ecuador international enjoyed a rare week of rest following a relentless spell for club and country, and he returns refreshed. Riccardo Calafiori rejoins the 11 after coming off the bench in Munich, where he delivered a brilliant cross for Noni Maduk while playing as an inverted left wing-back. Martin Zubimendi. Quietly authoritative as ever. He continues to control matches without drawing much attention to himself, an understated but invaluable presence. Declan Rice. Rice enjoys no such anonymity. Once again, he is expected to be the heartbeat of Arsenal's midfield in what could be another season-defining game. Ebereki Eze. Martin Odegaard is steadily working his way back, but Eze's form makes him nearly undroppable. The former Crystal Palace star is reaching new heights in an Arsenal shirt. Bukayo Saka. Set to renew his personal duel with Marc Cucurella, a battle that has become one of the most intriguing subplots of this particular London derby. Mikel Merino. Despite not being a natural striker, Merino has thrived in this false 9 role and even scored against Chelsea the last time they met. His intelligence and timing keep him firmly in contention. Gabriel Martinelli. With Trossard sidelined, Martinelli stepped up with a goal against Bayern and carries an excellent record against Chelsea. Even though Arteta admitted in his pre-match press conference that he hasn't always relied on the Brazilian, this feels like one of those nights when Martinelli's energy and directness could tilt the balance. Beyond individual selections, the broader storyline surrounding this match has taken on a life of its own. With both clubs riding emotional highs from their midweek triumphs, the stakes have quietly escalated. Arsenal know that a win would not only widen the points gap, but also send a clear message about their resilience during the most demanding stretch of the season. Chelsea, meanwhile, sense an opportunity to derail their rivals at a moment when confidence around Stamford Bridge is beginning to resurface. Arteta has spoken repeatedly about the psychological challenges of this run, emphasizing the importance of composure in hostile environments. Stamford Bridge has historically been one of the league's most unpredictable venues for Arsenal, capable of producing emphatic victories or sudden collapses. This time, the manager is placing heavy value on his midfield's ability to control momentum during the opening half-hour, particularly with Chelsea's renewed intensity under Maresca. There is also the tactical subplot involving Arsenal's defensive structure. Without Gabriel Magalhaes anchoring the left side of the backline, the responsibility on Hincapie and Calafiori increases significantly. Analysts have noted how Chelsea's wide rotations and quick combinations on the left could stress any hesitation or miscommunication. The presence of Timber and Saliba offers stability, but Arteta's defensive puzzle remains one of the key talking points heading into the weekend. Up front, the debate surrounding Arsenal's forward configuration continues to draw attention. With Trossard unavailable, every attacking sequence becomes a test of chemistry between Martinelli, Merino, and Saka. Their fluid rotations, something Arsenal honed earlier in the season, will be tested by a Chelsea side that has tightened its defensive lines in recent weeks. Reports also suggest that Odegaard's fitness progression could impact second-half dynamics, providing Arteta with a potential game-changing option from the bench. Off the pitch, the matchup has already sparked reactions from pundits and former players across England. Several have questioned whether Arsenal can sustain their level across 3 big matches in a single week, while others argue this is precisely the kind of adversity that sharpens a title-contending squad. Chelsea's impressive display against Barcelona has only amplified the anticipation, with some analysts labeling this derby as a genuine barometer of both teams' long-term intentions. Regardless of the external noise, Arsenal enter the clash aware that their margin for error is narrow. With the Premier League table tightening and multiple teams still within striking distance, even a minor dip could carry lasting consequences. For Arteta, the message is clear: control the tempo, trust the structure, and allow the team's blend of youth and experience to dictate the rhythm of the game. As kickoff approaches, the narrative remains centered not just on who starts, but on how Arsenal respond to the unique demands of a matchup that has delivered some of the most dramatic moments of their season so far.
Yeah, it has been quite some week for the Gunners. They are in fine fettle heading into that game at Stamford Bridge in the second part of Super Sunday tomorrow. Away to inform Chelsea. Tim, just to reel off some of the stats for Arsenal so far this season. I mean, compared to last season at this stage, they're 7 points up on that, unbeaten in the last 16 games in all competitions, won just the 14 of those. Only 3 defeats in the last 40 Premier League games. So no huge surprise at the moment in terms of where the bookmakers think the title is going. They think it definitely is going to North London and the red half of North London for the first time in 21 years. And you were sat in that seat a week ago where you said, win the North London derby, they will win the Premier League and they'll win it for years and years to come. Still stand by that. I assume after that performance on Sunday, you absolutely stand by it.
I just thought it was a huge game of football. I thought if they lost this game, they were going to the one against Chelsea tomorrow and it would be a very difficult game for them. I think they'll win their game against Chelsea now. I don't see anyone challenging them this season. I think the nearest challenges will come from the team who have got the experience to be able to win the league, which is Man City. I think they will come nearest. But we all talked about, can they deal with the injuries? They've ticked that box now. They've covered that. He can't do it without Gabriel. And Capia comes in. He's magnificent. It was seamless to change. He couldn't do it without Odergard in years gone by. They can do it without anyone now. They got players like Declan Rice, he's an AI player. I mean, if you had to make a player, an absolute superstar. It's the
first AI reference I think we've had regarding a player.
For a manager's dream, I mean, this kid has got everything. You got Timber, who's probably the best fullback in the world. You know, for me, they're just incredible footballers, and they've got. The only thing that's missing is they haven't done it. And if they do get over the line, I think everyone's got a problem. We know how difficult it is to win back-to-back titles.
But the eyebrow-raising bit of what you said last week wasn't that you think they'll win the title, because I don't think many, based on their current form, would disagree with that. But you said this was the big Merson-style claim in his chair. They'll win it for years and years to come. You think that as well still?
Yeah, of course.
Why might we have said that at Liverpool this time last season?
Yeah, we would have done.
So what's the difference here?
Well, we just covered that. I think it was.
No, but in terms of Arsenal, how
Arsenal
were
young enough. They've got the quality. They've got the strength in depth. They're young enough. I think Gyökeres is a question mark. I think they still think they need a centre forward at this present moment in time. I haven't seen enough of him, but if he comes, you know, players, Kai Havertz, who hasn't even got changed yet, you know, so they've got ability to be able to do it. The only thing that was missing, we'll all say, is they haven't done it.
Yeah.
But once they do it, the experience of having done it, I think they're capable with the young group of players and a very young manager who's still got the drive to go and win it again. Because he'll be just like Pep Guardiola. He won't say, oh, got there. Let's have a relax now. He'll be like, right, on to the next. On to the next. They're capable. We know how difficult it is. There's only Man City and Man United ever won back-to-back. But I think if they miss out a year, I think you'll be there or thereabouts and they'll go again. What I'm saying is in the next 10 years, I think they're capable of winning it 5 times.
And Bordy, listen, Tim, and we've spoken about it a lot, that strength in depth they've got this season. But something else that strikes me that seems to be different about them this season is they look mentally a different beast at the moment. Would you concur with that, or still too early to make that kind of call?
Listen, I think they've been like that for the last couple of seasons. When you look at what the Manchester City team had to put up to stop them, Liverpool had to put up to stop them. I mean, that was levels that, you know, we don't often see. This Arsenal team, when you go back, and I think everybody thought a couple of years ago they were going to arrive, they had a couple of bad injuries, and all of a sudden it derailed their title challenge. That ain't going to happen this year, because they've got more players out than what they did back then, and they're still winning games comfortably. I mean, when you look at the performance on Wednesday night, everybody's before that game was saying, Bayern Munich, one of the favourites for the Champions League. The second half, they ran all over the top of them.
Just dispatched them, didn't they?
Could not get near them. Could not get near them. Albeit, listen, Bayern Munich, I thought the first half, done reasonably well. But the big thing for me would be as well that, usually when you've got top teams that dominate the ball and they'll suffocate teams, Bayern Munich had more possession than Arsenal. They knew exactly what they were doing. We'll sit in, and then we'll hit you in the counter-attack and score the goals that they did. And the options they've got all over the pitch is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen it. Even Lewis Skelly, he's been in and out of the team. He's not played a lot of football recently. But as soon as Calafiori had come onto that pitch on Wednesday, they just went again. He gets the assist. There's a physique about them. They're very difficult to stop. They can create chances, they can score from set plays. Right now, they are the perfect team.
And what they also have, Sue, it seems at the moment that they've got that balance. They've got really, really good competition for places, but they just feel like they're all pulling in the same direction. So when players are on the bench, like Madueke, who'd come back, was midweek, Gabriel Martinelli back and on the bench as well, they look at that rather than a blow. Obviously, everyone wants to start, but a chance to contribute later on. And indeed they do. Madueke comes on, scores his first goal. Gabriel Martinelli scores a goal as well. It just feels as a unit, as a whole now, they're absolutely pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, I think they've got that sort of healthy competition, haven't they, now for places, and the squad depth has been a massive positive for them. Because I think when you look at previous seasons, when they've lost key players, it's really affected them, whether it's Odergard, whether it's Saka, whether it's one of the centre-backs. But now they've got players to come in and replace them, and not just replace them and be not as good as them. They are as good as them. They've got that sort of real quality. So, like Boydie said, so many players out, and yet they're continuing to win games. So I think the recruitment's been excellent. We spoke about Liverpool's recruitment. It may come good, but you look at Arsenal's and you just think it's complemented the players that are already there. The likes of Zubamendi coming in, it's then been helping Rice so he can kick on and further his game. So I think everything, we've all spoken about Arsenal the last few weeks, they do look the perfect team, and they've got a bit of everything, haven't they? So we've spoke about where we've said, they score a lot of goals from set pieces. They can still play teams off the park if they need to. They can still go from back to front quickly if they need to. Yes, they'll score set pieces and be very strong at that, but they've just got a bit of everything. So, yeah, certainly the team to beat, and they've been outstanding.
Mikel Arteta has made it clear that Arsenal will need to unleash their complete player against Bayern Munich. The Gunners host the German champions at the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, and one man in particular could be decisive. Ebereki, described as a very complete player by teammate Mikel Merino, is emerging as one of Arsenal's most dangerous weapons ahead of their Champions League clash with Bayern. The 27-year-old announced himself in North London with a stunning hat-trick in his first derby since arriving in a £67.5 million move from Crystal Palace. His 3 brilliant goals dismantled Tottenham, and truthfully, he could have scored even more. Merino believes every one of Arsenal's 8 summer signings has lifted the squad's level, helping the team build a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League. But Wednesday's matchup is different. Bayern Munich, the reigning Bundesliga champions, represent the toughest test yet for Arteta's side. Speaking after the win over Spurs, Merino praised Iza's qualities and hinted at the impact he could have in such a high-stakes European battle. "We've brought in a lot of players who can make a difference. But you can see that other teams have spent big as well," the Spain international said. "Individual brilliance can win matches, sure, but in the end, it's the team that matters. If you have great players who don't connect, that's a problem." The good thing about this group is that everyone thinks about the team first. When asked about Ease specifically, Merino didn't hesitate. "I think he's incredibly complete. He can dribble, he can pass, and his technical quality is outstanding. In Spain, we always talk about players who can connect with others. He has that naturally. He grew up with that instinct to link play, move the ball, and build relationships on the pitch. He also has the mindset to get involved, demand the ball, and influence the game. At the same time, he's strong, he can take players on, and he can finish. He's a truly complete signing." Merino also touched on how the modern game often reduces players to simple numbers. These days everyone judges players by goals and assists, that's just how it is. But as footballers, we see the deeper qualities he brings, the technique, the movement, the intelligence. Even in training, you can tell immediately how special he is. Yes, he's scoring goals, but he's much more than that. He's an exceptional player, and we're incredibly lucky to have him. He can play in several positions and adapt to different systems. He's been a huge addition for Arsenal. Beyond the technical qualities, Merino believes Iza's attitude, and the healthy competition within the squad, will be crucial in Arsenal's title push. You can hear the calm in Eberechi's voice and see it in the way he carries himself. He's confident, grounded, and every morning we sit together in the sauna at the training ground and talk about everything, he added with a smile. He's a great guy, already fully integrated, and we need players like him. Competition is fierce. There's so much quality in this squad. That's exactly what the manager wanted, as many top players as possible, all ready to play. It makes his decisions tough, choosing who starts and who doesn't, but it also pushes every one of us to give our best in every session. And that's why we're improving as a team. As Arsenal prepare for Bayern's arrival, Arteta is facing one of the most delicate balancing acts of the season. The squad is healthy, competition is fierce, and expectations have never been higher. But behind the scenes, there is a growing sense that Iza's versatility and calm presence may be essential against a Bayern side known for controlling the tempo in big European nights. Arteta himself has hinted at Iza's importance without naming him directly. After the Tottenham victory, the manager spoke about the need for players who can break pressure, dictate rhythm, and stay composed when the game becomes chaotic. Those inside the club believe those comments were aimed at Iza as much as anyone. The coaching staff has been particularly impressed by how quickly he has adapted to Arsenal's positional play structure, a system that demands far more tactical discipline than what he was used to at Crystal Palace. Analysts at the club point to his growing influence not only in the final third, but also in build-up phases, where his ability to glide past pressure could help Arsenal bypass Bayern's aggressive midfield line. There is also an awareness that Bayern's fullbacks tend to push high, leaving spaces between the lines. Iza's skill set, sharp turns, deceptive acceleration, and precise final balls, could be exactly what Arteta needs to exploit those gaps. Outside the club, pundits have already started circling Wednesday's match as a defining moment for the £67.5 million signing. Some believe that if Iza can impose himself on a Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich, it will confirm his arrival among Europe's elite creative players. Former players have echoed that sentiment. Several ex-Arsenal figures, speaking on television over the weekend, highlighted the need for someone who can change the temperature of the match with a moment of calm or an unexpected burst of creativity. Iza, they argued, is one of the few in the squad capable of both. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich come into the match with their own confidence. Their midfield trio has been one of the most dominant in Europe this season, and they have shown a repeated ability to suffocate opponents early. That dynamic is precisely why Arteta may lean on Iza's composure. When the game tightens, Arsenal will need a player capable of slowing it down, protecting the ball, and finding solutions in tight spaces. Within Arsenal's dressing room, Merino's praise reflects a broader consensus. Senior players have reportedly been struck by Iza's humility and work ethic, qualities that have helped him integrate seamlessly into a squad that already had strong internal chemistry. Staff members describe him as someone who never forces the game, and lets the match come to him, characteristics that could prove invaluable in a high-tension Champions League tie. As kickoff approaches, the narrative surrounding the match has shifted. What began as a test of Arsenal's resilience has quietly become a spotlight on whether Iza can elevate them in Europe the same way he has in the Premier League. For Arteta, the equation is simple. If Arsenal are to overcome Bayern, they will need more than intensity. They will need control. They will need creativity. And increasingly, they will need the completeness Iza brings to every phase of the pitch. Whether he starts in a wide role as a floating midfielder, or even as an interior playmaker, the expectation is the same. Iza will have to find the spaces others cannot, and influence the game in ways that statistics alone will not capture. The stakes are high, the opponent is formidable, and the spotlight is intense. But within the walls of London Coney, the belief is growing that this is exactly the kind of stage Eberechi Iza was signed for. Martin Odergard is nearing a return to action after suffering a medial collateral ligament injury in Arsenal's 2-0 win over West Ham earlier in October. Yet, 3.5 years after Mikel Arteta named him captain, the Norwegian finds himself in an unfamiliar position. His place in the starting lineup is no longer guaranteed. For the first time since joining the club permanently from Real Madrid in August 2021, there is real debate over whether he remains an automatic choice for Arteta's 11. Odergard, now 26, has been central to Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta, the conductor who shaped the team's rhythm through some of their most fluid football. But this season, the Gunners have been forced to navigate long stretches without their captain, first due to a shoulder issue that kept him out of 4 matches in September, and then because of a knee collision with West Ham's Crescencio Somerville that sidelined him again. And during his absence, something significant happened. Eberechi Eze stepped into the spotlight. Eze's sensational hat-trick in the North London derby has complicated the picture. Now thriving in a central role, the England international has given Arsenal a different kind of presence around the edge of the box. A blend of unpredictability, directness, and two-footed confidence that opponents struggle to contain. He may not control games with the same metronomic precision as Odegaard, but he offers a spark, a willingness to take risks at moments when Arsenal need a jolt of creativity. After such a standout performance against Tottenham, it feels almost impossible to imagine Arteta leaving Eze out. The manager has always had a soft spot for players riding a wave of confidence, and Eze is currently surfing at full height. There was a similar situation back in September, when Merino was handed a start against Manchester City after scoring 4 times in 2 games for Spain, including a hat-trick against Turkey. Arteta doesn't hesitate to reward form. Eze has carried that form onto the international stage as well, recently scoring a stunning goal for England in a 2-0 win over Serbia in the World Cup qualifiers at Wembley. Though he can play on the left, it has always been clear that Arteta brought him to the Emirates to operate in midfield. And with Declan Rice and Martin Zubamendi near untouchable in the double pivot, the odds of Eze and Odegaard consistently starting together seem slim. That leaves Odegaard in an unfamiliar position. He needs minutes to rebuild sharpness, yet Arsenal's medical team won't rush him. The plan is likely to ease him back through short substitute appearances before restoring him to larger roles. But even once fully fit, Odegaard faces genuine competition, because Eze has shifted the landscape. His arrival has raised the team's ceiling, and his performances have earned him the right to keep his place. Before the dismantling of Tottenham, Eze had scored only twice for Arsenal, one against Port Vale in the Carabao Cup and another versus his former club Crystal Palace, a clever finish that sealed victory. Now with 5 goals across all competitions, he sits just 1 behind Odegaard's total from last season, when the captain made 45 appearances. Odegaard's 2023-24 numbers were outstanding: 11 goals, 12 assists, influence written across every competition. That is the standard he must match again if he wants to reclaim his spot, because Eze is hungry, confident, and eager to impress ahead of next summer's World Cup. Arteta will insist that Arsenal need both players at their best if they are to meet their ambitions in the months ahead. And with Kai Havertz also working his way back to full fitness, potentially slotting into midfield behind marquee striker Victor Gyökeres, the battle for places has never been fiercer at the Emirates. For Odegaard, the message is clear: he must rise to the challenge. His leadership and quality remain unquestioned, but he can no longer rely on reputation alone. If he embraces the competition and fights his way back into the side, his return could push Arsenal to even greater heights. And if the team has already reached this level without several key figures, the potential for what comes next may be even greater. Inside the club, staff members are quietly acknowledging that Arsenal are entering a new phase, one where no player, not even the captain, is immune to tactical evolution. Arteta has spent the past 2 seasons building a squad capable of sustaining pressure across multiple competitions, and the emergence of Eze is a sign that the manager's long-term planning is beginning to bear fruit. Depth is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. But with depth comes difficult decisions. Arteta has always valued balance in midfield, and the contrasting profiles of Odegaard and Eze force him to reconsider what type of midfield best suits the team's ambitions in Europe and the Premier League. The technical control and spatial awareness that Odegaard brings have defined Arsenal's identity under Arteta. Conversely, Eze's dynamism, physical presence, and unpredictable touches give Arsenal a new dimension, especially against teams that sit deep or defend aggressively in central areas. This internal shift has also caught the attention of analysts and former players. Several pundits have begun to question whether the captaincy should guarantee a place in the lineup, especially at a club with ambitions of challenging for the Champions League. Others argue that Odegaard's leadership is too valuable to sideline, pointing to the standards he sets in training and his influence over younger players. Those debates are already spilling into the media, and they will only intensify as the season progresses. There is also the tactical question of whether Arteta might eventually experiment with a system that accommodates both Ease and Odegaard, something he briefly attempted earlier in the season during the win over West Ham. But with Rice and Zubimendi forming an almost impenetrable midfield pairing, any reshuffle risks destabilizing the defensive structure that has made Arsenal one of the most resilient teams in the league. The manager has hinted that he is open to adjustments, but only if they enhance the team's overall cohesion. For Odegaard himself, the challenge is as much psychological as it is physical. He has worked hard to cultivate an image of calm authority, a leader who raises the level of those around him through clarity and consistency. Now he must show that he can adapt, compete, and respond to adversity. His teammates still speak of him with admiration, describing him as one of the most studious and detail-oriented players at London Coney. They believe that once he regains full rhythm, he will naturally reassert his influence. Yet even they acknowledge that the landscape has shifted. One senior player privately remarked that, "The team is different now, Ease has changed what we can do in the final third." That sentiment reflects not a lack of faith in Odegaard, but an understanding that Arsenal have evolved while he has been sidelined. For Arteta, the ideal scenario is straightforward: a fully fit Odegaard competing with a fully confident Ease, creating a level of internal competition that lifts the entire squad. The manager often speaks about the need for healthy tension among his players, pressure that keeps standards high without fracturing unity. The arrival of Victor Gyökeres, combined with the recovery of Havertz, only amplifies that dynamic. Arsenal's season will almost certainly hinge on these midfield decisions. With Champions League knockout matches approaching and the Premier League title race tightening, Arteta must decide not only who starts, but what kind of identity he wants his team to carry into the defining months of the campaign. The next few weeks will reveal whether Odegaard's return sparks a resurgence or a battle for relevance. If he manages to reclaim his place, it could serve as a reminder of why Arteta trusted him with the armband in the first place. If he struggles, it will underline how rapidly Arsenal are progressing, and how little room there is for sentiment at the highest level. Either way, the captain's response will shape not just his future, but the trajectory of a team that believes it is on the brink of something significant.